Try to go to like 10:40-ish.
Okay. All right, we're live. This might take a couple takes.
Yeah, understandable.
All right. Get that in there. Alrighty. All right, so I sound good and everything? So I'm going to give it a whirl. Today's episode of Go With The Flow is brought to you by Pro Stock Hockey. Pro Stock Hockey is great for all your hockey gear needs. Recently, our co-host Dan Merritt's had a broken stick and wanted to replace it. You know, that's what happens when you got a broken twig. You had heard about Pro Stock. Fuck. I got confused because they didn't keep it proper noun. Okay, one more time. Today's episode of Go With The Flow is brought to you by Pro Stock Hockey. Pro Stock Hockey is great for all your hockey gear needs. Recently, our co-host Dan Merritt's had a broken stick and wanted to replace it. You know, you got to do it when you got a broken twig. He had heard about Pro Stock Hockey through a friend, and when he got there, he found a great selection and a friendly staff. He was able to buy a brand new stick at a great price, and so can you when you visit ProStockHockey.com and use promo code BFrank10. Again, that's ProStockHockey.com, promo code BFrank10. BFRANK10. That's BFRANK10. The code expires October 16th. So check them out.
All right. The one thing is you didn't say that it's 10% off with that code. He doesn't have it written in there, but like that's what it is.
He gave me the ad read and they don't mention 10% off in the ad read. I literally read it. All right, I'll do it.
But he said, I asked him, because reading it, there's like, it says use the promo code, but it doesn't say what it's for. So like, just
so I need to add. I need to do it one more time. Fuck.
Just like when you use promo code BFrank10 and get 10% off your first purchase.
And enjoy 10% off. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck. Here we go. Today's episode of Go With The Flow is brought to you by Pro Stock Hockey. Pro Stock Hockey is great for all your hockey gear needs. Recently, our co-host Dan Merritt's had a broken stick and wanted to replace it. You know, you got to do it sometimes when your twig breaks. He had heard about Pro Stock Hockey through a friend, and when he got there, he found a great selection and a friendly staff. He was able to buy a brand new stick at a great price, and so can you when you visit ProStockHockey.com and use promo code BFrank10. Again, that's ProStockHockey.com, promo code BFrank10. That's BFRANK10. BFRANK10, and enjoy 10% off through October 16th.
Beautiful.
Damn. Not bad.
Yeah, that was pretty solid, I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
For
all right.
First ever ad read.
Yeah, I only took 3 times. But... All right. So we're just going to kick it off, and I'll do a little hello. All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna do that. Well, hello there. All right. Yeah, I'll just do a welcome back. And do I make a promise to the listeners that we're going to record once a week? I think we should.
I wouldn't.
It's really easy.
Yeah, but
fuck you. We should. We got to get them back. All right. So we just got to deliver. So we'll just say we haven't picked a day, but we're going to try to get at least one out a week and just have some fun with it. And maybe we just jokingly start with, are the Blackhawks back? Or we can start with Nylander. We can start with whatever you want.
Yeah, we can just kind of talk about whatever.
All right. So here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Go With The Flow NHL podcast. I'm Nick Phillips, joined with my co-host Kevin Bartman. Dan Merritt is not able to be with us this weekend. He's actually across the country in Europe. So for our longtime listeners, you may remember a third party to this podcast. We think he's possibly going to be coming in and out throughout the hockey season, at least while he's overseas for a bit, doing some personal stuff. So right now it's just Kevin and I, and it's our first podcast in a bit, but we're happy to be back, and we're planning on dropping one episode a week at least. You know, and we haven't, we haven't solidified a day, but we're happy to be here and drop one for you guys today. So, Kevin, how are you? Welcome back. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been a little bit too long, but yeah, like you said, we should try to get these out as often as possible. We've been pretty sketchy with that, admittedly. So got to step up our
Right.
game a little bit, but no doubt we'll put in maximum effort.
Yeah, and we kind of got to get in a routine again, and prove that we're coming out with content every week and, really get after it with the blogs on letmebefrank.com. We want to give you content in a number of manners through a number of outlets, so you guys can learn of our opinions, obviously, through the podcast, on the blog, maybe some live tweet reactions. Yeah, you can follow us at GWTF_podcast. And, of course, Let Me Be Frank Sports. So that's letmebefrankblog.com. You can check out our work there. So Kevin, for the first time listeners, long time listeners, they know we're Blackhawk guys. Are the Hawks back? I'm going to say no, but kind of an interesting start. 5 points out of 6 to start the year. They've been in a barn burner every game. Safe to say, as long as Cam Ward's in the net and 19 and 88 are scoring the way they are, you should just hammer the over, because I think the over's hit in every game so far pretty easily. Open the year with an overtime win at Ottawa, who absolutely stinks, by the way, as expected. Followed up with another come-from-behind win at St. Louis, another overtime winner thanks to a Jonathan Toews hat trick. And they played an absolutely wild game the other night against Toronto. Lost 7-6 in overtime, but they traded goals a few times in the last 90 seconds. And obviously, hockey fans who follow the league closely know about Matthews and Kane are having a little fun back and forth. But early impressions are, I think the forward group looks rejuvenated. Toews looks like a man on a mission right now. It's early, but, he's producing. Kane looks great. Some of the young forwards look good. The defense is a little suspect, but Jokiharju looks like he's going to be a nice player for a number of years. The only thing I'll say is the goalies they've scored on are an ancient Craig Anderson, head case Jake Allen, and Garrett Sparks, who's clearly Freddie Anderson's backup by a lot. So I'm going to say with the defense and who they've played so far between the pipes, maybe they're not back, but do you have any initial impressions on our boys?
I do. So this is a very peculiar group, as what I've gotten out of the first 3 games. The thing with the Hawks this year is, I want to find reasons to hate them, and not hate them, but I want to find things that are wrong with them, because there's so much to hate, especially after what Stan Bowman did in the offseason and, what this team already is to begin with. But, they look good, They don't look bad. I'll say they don't look bad. They don't look good, but they don't look bad. Like you said, they played some absolute dog shit teams, but you can only play who you can. So I think saying the forward group looks rejuvenated is, it's accurate. They do. Jonathan Toews, must be eating hamburgers again, not a vegan anymore, because he's looking for 30 tucks again. But yeah, they're flying. The defense looks, serviceable right now. Jokiharju. He makes some, good plays out there. He's a smart player. Seabrook, not looking nearly as slow.
Jokiharju, the way too early stat of the year. He currently leads the NHL in assists.
Yes, he does.
It's a wild stat. He does.
I think Jonathan Toews leads the league in goals too, or at least he's tied. So expect that to, go throughout the whole year.
Yeah, exactly. And have the Norris, they have the Norris winner, the Selke winner, the Art Ross, everything.
But I think
Hart Trophy winner are going to have everything.
The one, obvious blemish of this team is goaltending. Cam Ward is ungodly levels of bad in that. I don't think there was one
more
goal.
More like Cam Ward, because he's hard to fucking look at. Jesus Christ.
Sheesh. But there was one goal. Do you remember? It was when John Tavares scored near side. It was his second goal, I think. Like he was coming up the
yeah,
left,
sure.
up the left wing, and just like went top shelf near side. That's just bad. Like you got to
That's
hug
just
the
bad
post there
angle.
at the very
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, that's your angle being way off there.
And he's like, yeah, I'll just give this give like 4 inches to John
The
Tavares,
Morgan
and
Riley goal was weak as shit too.
yeah, there were a lot of them. What was the other one?
Chris Butler goal was pretty weak.
There was one where he got beaten like right under the arm. Fucking who was it? I don't know. Either way, it was a terrible goal. He stinks. Like it's, and then like not like his backups are any good. Like I don't even know if Anton Forsberg is on this team anymore. Like,
well, he was hurt, and so they've gone with Ward the first 3 games, and he's got like an 843 save percentage. Listen, this defense, I bitched about it last year ad nauseum on this very podcast. In a number of our episodes, whenever this fucking team came up, because it naturally does, because that's our team, and obviously we cover the whole league. But the Blackhawks. I mean, this, let's call it what it is. This is one of the most popular teams in the league. Obviously they had the 3 cups in 5 years, and things just haven't gone right since they beat Tampa in the Stanley Cup. They lose a heartbreaking Game 7 to St. Louis, and then Crawford gets the mystery injury, which we have come to learn is a concussion, according to the team and everything. So it's just, it's interesting to see, they have all these, household names in the hockey community, but it's just, we got to see if they can put the pieces back together and pick themselves up. But as you had touched on earlier, I mean, just a truly brutal offseason. And the Hawks so far are playing well in spite of the quote-unquote key additions that Stan Bowman had made. First of all, extending Erik Gustafsson at about a 2.5 AAV clip was a pretty rough signing. He had been sent down to Rockford multiple times. If that guy goes to unrestricted free agency, I have a hard time imagining a team matching that offer. So that one is a little suspect. The Brandon Manning signing was rough. Philly fans absolutely despise that guy. He doesn't really do any particular thing well. Chris Kunitz, he's a guy that contenders didn't want anymore. He's a guy that Pittsburgh thought was over the hill. Tampa gave him a shot. They gave up on him after a year. This guy, I mean, it's kind of like it's like fiance or something's from the Chicago area. So, I mean, is it good PR? I don't know what that signing is. The Cam Ward signing.
The Chris Kunitz signing would have been good like 3 or 4 years ago when we were like, because when we were still winning cups, Stan, he would make like a token veteran signing to sort of like mentor, because it was a younger group back then, obviously. So yeah, it would have worked back then, but like this is an old group now. And Chris Kunitz is even older, so it just like makes even less of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, in Cam Ward, like I get it. Like he won the Stanley Cup 12 years ago. 12.
Conn Smythe too.
Yeah. Okay. True. 2006. 2006, folks. I mean, Chris Pronger was manning the blue line for Edmonton when this was going on. This is a long time ago, guys. Long time ago. All right. And he's not looked good for a few years. And I think a lot of people, I mean, you could blame it on a number of things, but he's played on a Carolina team the last couple of years. Now, obviously not a playoff team, but how much of that is on the goaltending? Because, I mean, you look at some of the guys that they've had on that blue line. We could talk about, they have Falk and they have Slavin, and, now they have Dougie Hamilton, but, they had Hannafin. That's how they got, Dougie Hamilton, Pesci. Like, they've had some pretty solid, like, top 4 NHL defensemen. Maybe not like a true number 1 guy, but, I mean, a lot of teams would trade their defensive core for what Carolina's had the past couple years. So, they go out and get Darling because they didn't believe in Cam Ward anymore. And, it's one of those things where he was good enough for the Hawks. And I think he can earn up to $3 million this year. So, I mean, the Hawks are working with $5.4 million in cap space to start the year. Manning's getting over $2 million a year for 2 years. Gustafson's at 2.5, so there's 4.5. Kunitz is 5.5, and Ward is like another 3 almost. So you're looking at like $8.5–9 million of cap space in these veteran guys who just, quite frankly, really aren't worth a shit. It's kind of frustrating. And that's not to say maybe the Hawks would have been in the Erik Karlsson sweepstakes or anything like that, because I think any of the pieces to get him that they would have had to give up would have been, the requirement is, you have to give up quality to get quality. But I mean, I don't see the Hawks being in a position where they wanted to trade a guy like Jokiharju or Boquist or Schmaltz or DeBrincat. I think those are guys that they kind of want to have surrounding the core that they still believe in. So, but it's still like, if you're going to spend the money, like I feel like they could have spent it a little better, or not as recklessly, or hell, maybe honestly just save it. I mean, those guys don't really add you much, and the fact that a guy like Brandon Manning has 2 years a term is kind of shitty. But
yeah, I mean, like, you kind of nailed it because I'm pretty sure Stan was like outspoken saying that he wanted to, have some money in his pocket for the extensions of DeBrincat and Schmaltz in particular. However, I don't think that really excuses signing the Brandon Mannings, the Chris Kunitzes, extending Erik Gustafsson. Like, the offseason, like, there was no two moves that you could link to each other saying like, oh, this, like, these two made sense. Like, I can see why I did this,
Right. Absolutely.
It was just absolutely all over the place. So
for sure. And speaking of contract negotiations, and the team the Hawks just played, and probably the best game so far of the young NHL season, is Toronto, who's trying to lock up Nylander. This is a team that's just gave John Tavares, a massive deal in unrestricted free agency. Hometown guy going home. He's already got a letter on the sweater and gets a hat trick in one of the first couple games in his third game with the team. Guys like Marner and Matthews obviously are going to covet a lot of money. Those are guys I don't anticipate signing bridge deals like some young forwards across the league do. Those are guys just like McDavid who are going to go get their buck right away. Obviously, Matthews is going to get the most out of that forward group, but Nylander is still a very valuable piece to that team. Obviously, he's a top 6 player, but Toronto spent a lot of money recently, and they just signed Marlowe before last year, and everybody knows that if Toronto is going to add another big piece to this team, whether it's with their own internal assets or with their money, they're looking at the blue line, and a lot of people, the pipe dream was will Doughty come home to Ontario and play for the Leafs and stuff. But Nylander is a guy that I think it's a funny situation, because the Leafs have so much firepower up front that I think they're just trying to drive a hard bargain, because they know they got to sign these other guys, and they know if he holds out for a few weeks, or I've seen some people say, well, they're holding out against him, but the guy deserves to get paid, and maybe he shouldn't take a bridge deal. But I think the Leafs are in a position, honestly, of bargaining power, in a sense where they have the firepower up front that they can still win games and be very competitive without him in the lineup for a month. And then if he gets antsy and he takes a little less money, or him and his agent budge, like, they're going to get the guy they want for a price that they're comfortable with and not jeopardize as much of the future. Because, Nylander, great young player. I think he's got a hell of a future, but you gotta be smart, and you gotta make sure that 34 and 16 get locked up.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much exactly my thoughts. Like, Toronto can just sit there and keep winning games and say, look, we don't need you, but if you want to come back, if you want to, eat whatever it takes to get here, then, you're more than welcome to join us. But quite frankly, I don't really like William Nylander is worth more than the Leafs can appropriately pay him. If he get to give him fair market value, he would not.
He's had over 60 points. He's had over 60 points the last 2 years. Just for people at home that don't know.
And he's what, 20, 21, 22?
22.
So
he'll turn 23 before next year. He's got a May birthday, but he's also incredibly durable. He played 81 games the year before last, and he played a full season last year. Also got a great set of lettuce, but
But so like I've seen it tossed around that maybe they could take flyers on maybe or see what the interest is in like maybe trading his rights to get some help on the back end. I don't expect that to happen. Like you can't
That would be
just
wild.
like William Nylanders don't just. I guess if you're the Maple Leafs, like a few years ago, they do fall into your lap, but like he's a stud. Like you said, he's a 60-point guy, incredible playmaker, super young too. Like it's extremely hard to give those up, but I
The
honestly
only
do
way
think like I don't see a scenario in which he stays and gets fair market value because he's well worthy of it. And,
I mean, it would take something drastic like Kapanen becoming a 60-point player and then to make him really truly expendable. I just think right now they're driving a hard bargain. Like they've, in order to put the veteran pieces around the young core they think is necessary, at least in the forward group to be a cup contender, by adding Marlowe and adding to, I mean, those guys, as much as they came to Toronto and they came home to try to win and, were enticed by the young core, they didn't exactly like help the Leafs out with the money they took. Like those guys are getting combined like 16, 17 million. Like those guys are not like those guys did not come cheap at all. So, the Leafs have to be very mindful of, like I've said before, they got to be mindful of, you saw what McDavid got, and Matthews is, pretty much that caliber of a player. I mean, as far as what you're going to pay him, I mean, his value to the franchise is comparable. I mean, the guy's just an unbelievable forward. I mean, we could go on and on about how good he is, and Marner's incredibly important. I mean, he's probably, in my opinion, I think he's the cog of that power play. I mean, everything kind of goes through him, and obviously Matthews is going to be in front of the net, and he's got the better shot and everything. But Marner's just an incredible, silky smooth playmaker, and they kind of run the power play through him a little bit. And if they want to add that big D man, like they got to have the space. So why not drive a hard bargain? Because as much as Nylander's great, and obviously he's going to help your cup chances and help your seeding in the playoffs and everything, like, if you got to wait a couple more weeks to get him signed, like you wait. Normally I'd say, why are you waiting to get a 22-year-old player back in your lineup who's that good? But I think in this case for Toronto, it's kind of a special circumstance where they got to be smart long-term, and, they
can afford to do so,
They can afford to do so as well. Exactly right.
The contract of Morgan Riley, he's getting $6 per.
Yeah,
it was a 6-year deal. That I think it's going to end up looking like a steal because he's a stud and he's 24.
Yeah, that's a great deal. Absolutely a great deal. So, yeah, good for them.
What else?
Any other
hockey?
What else happened? Gritty is the phenomenon going on. If we want to.
The thing is, I didn't realize until a few days after, like, look at the Philadelphia Phillies mascot. That's just like a big green hairy thing. And Gritty's just a big orange hairy thing. Like, yeah. Like, I never realized how little sense the Philly fanatic it makes.
Yeah, I think,
and then Gritty is essentially the same thing, just a different color.
Twitter's being over dramatic because you have some people who are kind of being over the top about how weirded out they are by it. And then you have some people who are acting like it's way funnier than it is. I just wish people would kind of just act normal about it. Like, it is a normal mascot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's goofy as shit. It's a little odd. But, like, let's not pretend it's the funniest thing that's ever happened. And let's also not pretend like you're actually having nightmares about that fucking mascot. Like,
yeah.
Let's just – but, I mean, yeah, it's goofy as hell. Whatever.
That's what a mascot does. It's like it's a goofy – that's the definition of mascot. So,
yeah, well, Flyers got off to a great start to the year, though, speaking of which. They absolutely shit pumped Vegas first game.
They've got a loaded roster, dude.
Fade Nick. I took Vegas in that game, kind of fucked up some parlays and stuff. It's like, oh, Vegas flu at home is going to carry over to the next year. Vegas has looked a little, I don't know, has Pacioretty brought the Montreal stink with him to Vegas? Because, I mean, they looked terrible against Buffalo too. But, I mean, I'm just kidding. It's early, and that team's, they're going to be fine. They got a lot of talent across the board. But but Philly got some tough news today yesterday
JVR,
with JVR's out 5 to 6 weeks. Other injury news early in the league, I believe Luongo has a sprained MCL. I saw MCL injuries 2 to 4 weeks, and then Joe Thornton, no structural damage, but he's going to miss some time with an infection in his knee. So yeah, some injuries early, but yeah, Philly. I've said this before. It's obviously, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. It's always the goaltending, but I actually think if they could get some average goaltending when it counts, I actually think they're a sleeper for the cup. I really do. I mean, that defense is young and very good with the Ghost Bear and Provorov and Sanheim and those guys. And I mean, they've got some legit forwards. I mean, you got Giroux and Voracek and Couturier and Konechny and JVR. Like, can they get some damn goaltending when it fucking counts? And this has been their problem since Ron Hextall left, in the late 90s. But, it's all about the goaltending in Philly. But, I mean, that team is incredibly talented. Any thoughts on Philly?
Yeah, free Carter Hart. That's all I got to say.
Oh, man.
Free
Yeah,
Carter
I don't know
Hart.
if they're going to – I don't know if they're just going to throw him in the fire, but they might have to. Or be interesting. Maybe – that's a team where at the deadline, maybe they go out and get a goalie or something. I don't know who it would be, but, obviously just speculation. And that's the thing with the Hawks too. Yeah, I will say this, not to make it about them, but by having $5.4 million in space going into the year, if an opportunity were to present itself in the middle of the year, I don't know exactly what they'd be comfortable giving up, but they could certainly afford pretty much anybody that would become available.
What are you saying?
Saying the Hawks, I was just speculating, Philly at the deadline could maybe add a goalie if they don't think Hart's ready and they're sour on, who they already have. But the thing is, these teams that have the space, like the Hawks and stuff, like, if you going into the year with $5.4 million in space sucks if you have cup aspirations. I don't know if the Hawks have that and other teams who are holding all this space. But I mean, by the time the deadline comes around, like if you enter the year with $5.4 million in space, you pretty much set yourself up to be able to afford anybody at the deadline that becomes available, provided, you got the assets. But I don't know, but I like Philly a lot, man. I don't know. I think, I don't know. They're good. And those series with Pittsburgh are always fun. And the East has just got fucking NHL in general. Honestly, folks at home, like, this sport is just awesome in the sense that there's so many teams from each conference that I could legitimately see like winning a Stanley Cup. Like I could see
a handful of teams from the Central winning the Stanley Cup.
Exactly, right? You've got Nashville, you've got Winnipeg, you've
Dallas.
I
think Dallas is sick.
Yeah, Dallas is sick. It's all about the goaltending there. Kim Bishop, carry him, and obviously the forwards are pretty lethal. And holy shit, Honka is really fucking good. Honka and or I don't know if he's up or who am I mixing him up with? I'm mixing him up with Heiskanen. Yeah, Miro Heiskanen. That's what I meant to say. They do have Honka in the system, but Heiskanen, holy shit, that guy is electric. I mean, him and Klingberg on the back end is fucking exciting to watch.
That's crazy.
It's fucking
that's why I was so nervous when they were in on Erik Karlsson. I'm like, oh shit. Like,
yeah.
That's similar to what I mean, it's obviously a little less of, firepower, but like having Klingberg and Karlsson on a power play is almost as insane as having Brett Burns and Erik Karlsson on a power play.
Well, right. And then you have, obviously in that scenario, they would have had Jamie Benn, and they just locked up Sagan long-term, and they're up front. And, I think Nishushkin's back, right, from the KHL. So, I mean, Dallas is – and they got Radulov, who's, if you shelter him and put him in the right spot, I mean, he's still lethal offensively. Like, they've got some – it's a very offensive-minded team, but they're a team that is allowed to do that because it's Dallas. They're very good. I mean, they kind of have the defensive pieces now to be potentially truly competitive. So Dallas is definitely scary. Yeah, but I mean, you stay in the West. I mean, obviously, Vegas again is a cup contender. You add Erik Karlsson to San Jose. Martin Jones plays well. They're a cup contender. In the East, you've got Washington, Pittsburgh, Philly, Toronto, Tampa, Boston. I mean, that it's so hard to predict. And I know we kicked off our show a little after the season started, so it's kind of funny to give cup picks and stuff because we can kind of cheat a little bit, and we've seen a few games, and we can kind of jump to conclusions early. But a lot of people didn't really, wait to make their picks. But I've said Tampa. I thought it's going to win the cup, but I mean, honestly, it's just a shot in the dark. Like, I mean, they're the odds-on favorite. I think they've got some of the best nucleuses in every area of the rink. I mean, you've got a bona fide stud between the pipes. You've got one of the best forward groups, and you've got an unbelievable defensive core. I think they've got pretty much a blend of everything you want. So that's why I picked them. But there's so many teams in this league that are exceptional. And it's tough to pick.
Yeah, it really is. I will say though, like I've just had a feeling for the longest time, pretty much since the offseason, kind of wrapped up. The Central is so loaded. I feel like the Stanley Cup champion is going to come out of the Central. Like,
and who do you think is the best among them? I'm gonna
so it's hard not to take Nashville because of
you take them over Winnipeg.
Well, it's hard not to take Nashville because we know what they are. Obviously, Winnipeg. They're super fast, super skilled, good goaltending. One team that I've told you this, and I think we talked about it earlier in this podcast, but the Blues, they have like a totally revamped forward group, a pretty damn solid defensive group. It's all about Jake Allen. Like, it's the same story every year.
NHL. It's what it boils down to in the NHL. There's so many teams. They've got everything, but you just say it's like Philly. Like, can they get the goaltending? It's like Dallas. Can Ben Bishop be good for them when it counts? Like, there's so many teams like that, and the Blues are one of them.
So, I mean, what year was it? I think it was 2017 or no, 2016 maybe. We saw Jake Allen was incredible in the playoffs.
Yeah,
it was 2016. It was when they beat the Blackhawks. Actually, Jake Allen was incredible.
Yeah, they lost. So, they got all the way to the conference final, right?
Yeah.
Lost to San Jose.
That's exactly right. So, like, we know he's capable of it. So it's just, it's about getting hot at the right times. Their forward group. Every time I look at it, I'm like, damn, like, how did this happen? They got some studs. It's pretty scary. Yeah,
the Braden Shen trade is one of the biggest swindlings we've seen recently. I mean, Shen maybe needed a change of scenery, but imagine him producing at that clip with that Philly lineup right now.
What was that? Who was that trade for? That was for Yuri Laterra, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, I think there was a first-round pick involved too. But Laterra was terrible last year, folks. I got to tell you what. He was so bad. He was so bad, just like that pun. But, I think he had like one goal through his first 30 games or something like that. And Braden Shen got off to that start last year. Yeah, he's quite good. But a Blues, that you've got Parayko, you've got Pietrangelo. I think Bouwmeester's pretty long in the tooth. I don't think he's very good anymore. I know that was a guy that was, one of the best in the league for a while.
Speaking of the Blues, how about the shit luck of Robbie Fabry?
Oh, yeah. We forgot to mention him with the injury news, yeah.
Do they know how bad it is yet?
I don't know, but I know he got injured in a preseason game, but he's had, 2 ACLs?
Yep.
The past couple of years, yeah. Not good. Not good. Want to take a pause for a minute?
Yeah, sure. We should just figure out one last thing to talk to, maybe.
Do we have a what the puck?
I don't know. I feel like my attention isn't 100% on hockey right now with baseball still going on, but so I haven't really totally seen highlights from a ton of games.
What's the score of that Ducks game, by the way? I need to know that for some gambling purposes. Ducks are wearing Mighty Ducks jerseys tonight.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's 1-1 in the fucking second. Jesus. Oh, we should talk about how good Elias Peterson's been, dude. He's so good.
I haven't watched him either.
Dude, I'll just tell you his stats, dude. I told you he was unreal.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, dude, you're just the preseason, dude. Dude, I'm telling you, this guy is fucking insanity. Like, he is, like, unbelievable, dude. He's got 5 points through the first 2 games, 3 goals already.
How old
Guy's
is he?
nasty. 19? He
Jesus.
was the 5th overall pick in 17. Yeah. And then, is Arizona off to a shitty start? I kind of
Yes,
want
they
to.
are. They're 0-2.
I kind of want to shit on them. Is it totally aggressive? All these aggressive moves, no points early, but
Yeah, I mean, it's been 2 games.
all right. Well, maybe we'll just talk about Elias Peterson because he's unbelievable.
You can just sort of rant about him if you want.
All right.
And
I'll
then
start.
you can talk about him, and then I'll say, like, okay, and then, like, just one last thing I want to touch on, and I'll figure out something.
Well, you should be like, you could add on and be like, yeah, like Vancouver's set up pretty nicely to be good for a long time because you could talk about how they have Jonathan Dahlen, Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser. Like,
okay, yeah.
It's an easy one. So, all right. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, and one more thing I wanted to mention. It's obviously very early. The 5th overall pick from the 2017 entry draft, Elias Pettersson from the Vancouver Canucks. This guy was unreal in the preseason, behind the back passes, scoring goals left and right. The guy's an absolute electric factory on the ice. He's one of the best young players in the league. My personal pick before the year, obviously we didn't do a show. He is my pick to win Rookie of the Year this year. I think he's just an incredible player, and I think he's surrounded by some fun young players where I think he's going to be able to put up some points, and he's going to probably get some power play time and stuff. But easy to say now, oh, the guy's going to win Rookie of the Year. But I genuinely, off the air, told Kevin this, that I've been very high on this guy. And first 2 games of the year, he's already got 3 goals and an apple, 5 points through 2 games. If you haven't seen him, I know it's tough for some people to watch West Coast games and, to get games that are up in Canada. But if you have center ice, there's ways to watch games that are illegal. Don't advocate it, but do it anyway. You got to watch this guy. All right. Like he's ridiculous. I mean, this guy's got a hell of a shot. He's a true playmaker. He's going to be a stud on the power play. He's just 19 years old. He plays the center ice position. He'll be turning 20 probably in the next month or so, but he's absolutely ridiculous. It's way too early, rant, but I was excited to see this kid play this year, and they had Besser emerge last year, and obviously he kind of made his name for himself at the All-Star festivities, but. Pettersson, yeah, he's looking like a real nice pick at 5th overall so far. Any thoughts on that, Kevin, or the Canucks?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bright spot for a team that, it has no plans to make any cup runs or anything in the near future. But, they've loaded up on some young talent in the years. What was they got Jonathan Dahlen in that was the Verbata trade, right?
Alex Burrows.
Oh, fuck. I don't know why I got those 2 mixed up. Yeah, Alex Burrows, that was a dumb trade. But then, they drafted Quinn Hughes this past year, who's so sick. Like, I wanted the Hawks to draft him so bad, but anyways, I digress. And then, yeah, I mean, so things aren't too bad. If you're a Canucks fan, you get to watch this guy, Elias Pettersson, and then you got some equally as polarizing talent coming up in the next few years. So pretty exciting times. It's not all too bad up there in Vancouver.
Yeah, well, you can thank Calgary, I guess, too, for making them look like fucking Wayne Gretzky out there. So I think they kicked it off with them back-to-back games to start the year. So
What happened? The one
Calgary,
thing with Calgary is like
I don't like that team at all. I don't like them at all. I don't like Mike Smith,
when they traded
and
for Travis Hamonic, I'm like, damn, this team's gonna be good. And then like
yeah,
nothing happened because that
yeah. I
defensive
mean,
group looked to be pretty good. And then
yeah.
they obviously
What
they
was
lost
it?
Dougie Hamilton,
It was Dougie Hamilton, Giordano,
Travis Hamonic.
uh, Travis Hamonic,
They
and
had one
oh
more. The
fuck,
top four was so good. I forget who.
oh five. The guy, he can skate like the wind. Oh my god, his name is on the tip of my tongue. Oh my goodness. This is some really, really bad radio. TJ Brody?
Yep.
TJ Brody? I'm trying to think.
I
Yeah, I
think
think it
that's
was
it.
Brody. Yeah, I didn't Google it, but yeah, it's
That
some
sounds
bad
right.
radio trying to think of it. Yeah, TJ Brody. But yeah, you're thinking, Giordano and Hamonic probably, stay at home a little more, and that would let Dougie Hamilton and obviously let Dougie Hamilton and geez, cut this part. This is terrible. TJ fucking Brody. God damn it. Awful radio. Here, just make a mark. I'll restart it. All right. 3, 2, 1. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at a nice defensive core where Travis Hamonic and Giordano could kind of stay at home a little more. Obviously they can chip in offensively a little bit, but that was going to let Brody and Dougie Hamilton play some more offensive minded minutes, and obviously their core at forward with Sam Bennett and Monahan and Johnny Hockey had some potential. Still has plenty of potential, but it just hasn't worked out for them. And as we saw last year, the Pacific Division was kind of wide open. Vegas made a run for it. LA wasn't really that sharp. I mean, the Sharks were pretty good, but yeah, I mean, going into last year, if you told me the Kings were going to play the way they did, and no one expected Vegas to do what they did, I mean, I think I might have even gone as far as saying they could have won that division. I mean, it was either them or San Jose, I think, was maybe something we talked about. But yeah, they've been honestly probably a big disappointment. And Mike Smith, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, just like on a personal note, that guy sucks. Yeah, anything else? Don't want to go on a tear about or a tangent about players I hate, because I've done that many times on this podcast.
Yeah, Mike Smith, we're a little salty still about his beautiful flop on Andrew Shaw in the 2012 first round with the Hawks and the Coyotes. After Rafi Torres tears off Marian House's head.
Was it Mike Smith though that I remember, like, were they playing the Hawks? I remember a puck flipped up and went in the back of his pants, and then he skated backwards into the net, and it was a goal. Was that Mike Smith?
I think it was.
Okay, yeah. Anyways, that was hilarious, but I just remembered that.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, so obviously, Kevin, thanks for joining. Long season ahead. We're only, depending on the team, I mean, you've played 1 or 3 games. So, I mean, we've gotten 1 game out of McDavid so far. So, I mean, there's just so much unknown right now, and we got to kind of let things play out. You can't jump to conclusions, but we thought we owed it to you guys in the first week of the season, obviously, to kind of jump out here and shoot the shit and give you guys something to think about, or if you're bored or on your commute, or just, you got to scratch that hockey itch. We just want to record and kind of get back on a rhythm. So I wish there was a little more to discuss, but I threw out with my cup prediction and my late cup prediction and rookie of the year that I said off the air before. Like I said, we've kind of maybe let you guys down with not writing blog. This is something I should have blogged. And I think, Dan, Kevin, and I, and we got to thank Megan McDonald, who's also on our team, who's been kind of carrying us with the writing portion of this stuff. And we'd like to have her on at some point this year, hopefully soon. She's a Colorado fan, so that'll be fun. Get a little bad blood with the Hawks in the fucking Avalanche, who are gonna pick fucking first. You're gonna pick fucking first overall next year.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck. They're gonna get Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes.
Because Ottawa is just a shit show. But kind of a cool thing, actually, one thing I forgot was Brady Tkachuk made his NHL debut in Boston, which I thought was kind of cool because Keith's from there, and obviously Brady went to BU and everything. So that's kind of cool that he got to debut in Boston. But I think that's all I got.
Yeah. I will say, so my bold prediction, I just want to make a bold prediction on our first episode, so I have something to look at. The Hart Memorial Trophy winner will be Jack Eichel.
Wow.
Lock it in. That's a Stone Cold Bear Trap lock. Jack Eichel Hart Trophy. Also, Alex DeBrincat 40 goals.
Oof, what?
Also a lock, but
okay.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's got to be bold, you know?
I'll take the under on 40, but I do like him. I think it's kind of weird that he's not that great of a skater for his size, but all you got to do is give him a little bit of room.
He's a born scorer. That's all he does. He's meant to score.
Yeah, they don't ask how, just how many. So, definitely a fan of the cat. Eichel, big day against Vegas. Matinee affair on Columbus Day. Those are weird. The Islanders and Boston always do it, and Buffalo did it. So those matinee games are a little weird. Wish it wasn't a thing because I got a little bored at work and gambled on it, and some things didn't go as well as I'd hoped. So I'm not bad at gambling. Kevin is I'm a mush is what I am. Notoriously bad gambler.
I am a literal mush. I am a bag of milk.
So I think that's one thing we'd like to incorporate more is a little bit of a gambling angle to the show this year. And obviously it's a little early to do our what the puck. So we do a what the puck, which is a play on what the fuck, obviously. And we kind of pick out a boneheaded play on the ice or a management decision or just something that's irking us about the NHL. But, hey, at least we don't have roughing the passer in the NHL. So I guess we don't have to rant about anything like that this week. So a little early for that, but maybe we'll be back, getting the rust off, maybe have another week of games under our belt. Who the fuck knows? Maybe we'll get an early season trigger pull on a trade or something. And, who the fuck knows? We'll have more to talk about next week, I'm sure. So, Kevin, thanks again for joining us. We're for real leaving this time. See you, buddy.
See you.